that says exam review chapters P123 semester 1. So problem number 1, we are going to find all of the asymptotes of this problem. So some of us actually just did a problem like this today. Some of us did one yesterday. We're going to factor our denominator. Okay, so I carefully factor my denominator, and that tells me that I have vertical asymptotes at x equals 5 and x equals -1. So my vertical asymptotes come from the denominator. My horizontal asymptote is, somebody said it, y equals 0. And the reason this one is y equals 0 is because the bottom power is bigger than the top power. And whenever the bottom power is bigger, the asymptote is at 0. If they match, like if that had been a square, then the asymptote would be at y equals 3. 3x squared over x squared. If the top is bigger, then there just isn't a horizontal asymptote. All right, now I'm going to find the remainder. So I'm going to do a little division problem. Notice what I put in the box. What I put in the box is the opposite of what's in the parentheses, right? Isn't that the way it always works? Yes. So down comes my first number, and here I go. Multiply. This happened on our other example. Don't cancel these, they add together. Multiply. Multiply. And my remainder is -51. The only thing you really have to be on the lookout for with the problem that you're going to be doing synthetic division is if you have to put a 0 in up here. Remember that rule? If there's a power missing, you got to put in a 0. So be careful, make sure you do that if you have to. All right, find the Y-intercept.
Robert Wood to the front office, please. Robert Wood to the front office.
We have gone over and over and over this. If we want to find the Y-intercept, what do?
X equals 0.
We let x equal 0. So I'm just going to put a 0 right here, because that's how I find the Y-intercept. So I still have 28 on the top, and I still have 3 plus 4 times, no, 0.3 to the 0 is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So I have 28 over 7,
Which is
so my Y-intercept is at 4. Now I'm going to solve this equation. These are all multiple choice questions, guys. These are all multiple choice that we're doing now. All right, so what do we do here? Factor that end piece of it there. Right? And we've observed that usually when we factor that, it's these two factors, usually. Now what?
We multiply by those two factors.
Yep, we multiply by those two factors. So everything is going to get times by x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 1, x plus 2. And we do that so that we can cancel stuff, right? So cancel, we're left with x plus 2. We cancel, we're left with 2x plus 1. We cancel, and we're left with 7. So we do our distributive.
x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 2 equals 7. 4x.
So we'll collect like terms. So we have x squared plus 4x. And I'm going to go ahead and move this 7 over and say minus 5. So my equation is now set equal to 0. Now I will factor that. Or use the quadratic formula if that's how you want to do it. So I got -5 and 1 as my answers. And what, some of you, we just did this problem. It's like the last one we did. What do we have to be on the lookout for? Extraneous roots. So we go back to the original problem. Is it gonna be an issue if we put in -5 or +1? No. So both of those are my answers. But that is the kind of problem that you have to be careful because you might get extraneous roots. All right, now we're going to find the solution set. What?
On the test, if it's extraneous, will it be like in the
No.
multiple choice?
Let's say one of these was extraneous. So in the multiple choice, you're going to have an option that's -5 and 1, and then an option that's just -5. And you would pick that option because 1 doesn't work even though you got it. All right, now we're going to solve this equation. Okay, so a couple different ways to do that. What do we have to do first, though? Yeah, first you have to add 4. I don't care how you do the problem. The first thing you have to do is add the 4. James, what are you doing?
Tell me my phone on the charger.
I don't care. Okay, now we have 2 options to do this problem. One option is to split it up into 2 equations. 3x minus 1 equals 6. 3x minus 1 equals -6. And we solve. This is the way you did it when you were freshmen. It works. It doesn't work with really hard problems, but it certainly works with this kind. So our 2 answers are 7/3 and -5/3. When we did them in class, we did them as calculus students would do them. So we took this same inequality, or the same equation that we had and divided it by 3. So then we had x minus 1/3 equals 2. We drew a number line. In the middle of the number line, we put 1/3. And then we counted this way 2 and this way 2. So we ended up with 2 1/3 when we went that way, and -1 2/3 when we came this way, which is exactly the same as these 2 fractions. Since it's multiple choice, does it matter how you do it? No, pick a way that you can remember and do it that way. Absolutely no reason you have to do it one way or the other. Okay. This one can be solved different ways too, but it is so much easier. Just leave it the way it is and get x by itself. So if you think about getting x by itself, just think about this part of it. What would you have to do to get x by itself? Add 4. But you have to add 4 all parts. So on the left, in the middle, on the right, we add 4. So now we have 2 less than 3x less than or equal to 15. Now what do we have to do? Divide by 3. So then we have x bigger than 2/3, so 2/3 less than x less than or equal to 5, which might be written that way, and it might be written this way. Same thing. Open here, closed here. Just because that's the way it was in the original problem. Again, it's multiple choice, so you're just picking the answer that matches yours. Okay, now we're going to solve. If you missed this, oh my gosh. What kind of equation is this? It's quadratic. So what, if you can't think of anything else to do with a quadratic, what should you do? Well, if you can factor it, you certainly could. This one does not factor. Can you tell that?
Yeah, there should be -3/2.
So, no. You do part of that. That's how you find the vertex. You do the quadratic formula, Sam. You're exactly right. So x equals to solve a quadratic equation, you use the quadratic formula. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Mrs. Ford is ancient. She does this for a living, so I don't have to write the formula down. You might want to write it down on your paper. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then just plug in your a, b, and c. So now I've got 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 minus 16, which is 33. You will not have a calculator on this part of the test. I do expect you to be able to subtract 49 minus 16 without a calculator. If you can't do it in your head, that's perfectly okay. There'll be plenty of space on the test. Write it over to the side. There's the answer. What is the domain? X cannot equal negative 2. X cannot equal negative 2 because if x equals negative 2, you would have a 0 in the bottom, which is never allowed, right? Now, it might say, the answer, question A might say x cannot equal negative 2, and that would be the answer. But question A also might say negative infinity to negative 2, negative 2 to positive infinity. This would also be the right answer. Now, it's not going to say both of these. It's going to say one or the other. You need to be familiar with both notations. So when you tell me, well, x can't be negative 2, you recognize that's what that says and that's what this says. Right? Okay. Next. All right, what do we do here?
Plug in the x plus 1.
Yep, this is just a plug-in problem. So we are going to plug in x plus 1 in place of all of our x's. Right, so here we go. 3x plus 1 squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 1. Now what?
Factor out x plus 1.
Yeah, FOIL it out.
Yeah.
We're going to FOIL out. This right here has to be FOILed. So x plus 1, x plus 1, we're going to FOIL that. So we get x squared plus x plus x plus 1. So we have 3 times x squared plus 2x plus 1 minus 2x minus 2
Plus what?
plus 1. 3x squared plus 6x plus 3 minus 2x minus 2 plus 1. Collecting like terms, we have a lot of stuff. Let's see, there's 3x squared plus 4x
Plus 1.
I think it's plus 2, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I didn't see that last one, yeah.
And we're done. That's it. That should match one of the answers. Okay. Oh, 10 is almost the same thing. 10 says find f of g of x. So what you have to remember is something's getting plugged in for something, but which way does it go? G gets plugged into f. So whatever the G thing is, which is x plus 2, it's getting plugged in to x in f. See how it's written? G is getting plugged into f. G is on the inside. It's in here. It's getting right here. That's G. So we're going to have x plus 2 squared minus 3x plus 2 plus 1. Does that look a lot like this? Basically the same thing, right? Just it's written differently, but it's the same thing. So we're going to FOIL. So that's x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4 minus 3x minus 6 plus 1. Again, Mrs. Ford is faster than you are, most of you, because I'm older. And I've done a whole lot more of it. When you're practicing this at home, you can stop the video. If you need more time, stop the video. So I have x squared plus 1x minus 1, I think, as my final answer. So you just stop. You're done. That's it. That's all you can do. All right, we're going to sketch this. What shape does it have? This is another multiple choice. It's a parabola. It's got a negative on the front. That means it's going to open down. If it didn't have a negative in front, it would open up. Where's it positioned?
Up 1 to
Right 3 and up 1. Hugh knows what he's talking about. Right 3 and up 1 and down. So you're matching. You're doing a matching problem. So you're going to look for a picture that looks like that. Now we're going to find the vertex of a parabola. You found the vertex of this one easily. This one is not written that way. So to find the vertex of that, what do we use? Somebody said it earlier. Negative b over 2a. So for us, negative b over 2a gives us 2. It's not the answer. That's the x part of the answer, right? No, we don't put 0 in for x. We put 2 in for x. This says x is 2, so we're going to put 2 in for x. When we put 2 in for x, remember, we square before we multiply. We square first. PEMDAS, we square first. So 2 squared is 4, times 3 is 12, minus 24 plus 4. So 12 minus 24, negative 12, plus 4, negative 8. So your vertex is at 2, negative 8. $13 is exactly the same sort of thing. You're building the equation, something that looks similar to this, an equation that looks like that has a horizontal shift to the left 2. Alright, so we're writing an equation that has a shift to the left 2. What does that mean about your equation if it's going left 2? X plus 2. So in your parentheses here, like this one went right 3, we're going left 2. A vertical stretch by a factor of 3. Where does that go?
3 in front.
3 in front, right here. That's where the number goes that makes you taller or shorter, stretches you. Vertical shift up 1, plus 1 on the end, right? That takes us 2 left and up 1. Use interval notation to list the intervals where the function is increasing. So remember, you're looking at the x. You're making an interval at x's. All right, so I need to make sure I get this drawn right. So something like that. Now, I don't even care about the y's. They're not going to be part of this problem. All I care about is where I am increasing. So just start drawing this. Just start drawing this picture. Am I increasing? No. Am I increasing?
Yes.
So this part of the picture is increasing. Would you agree with me? So what x did that start at? What x did that end at?
0.
I can't tell. No! No!
It's 1.
This is where it ended. What x is that? Well, I can't tell. I drew it wrong. It should be
Yeah,
1. It's 1, yeah. I didn't draw it very well. So it ends at 1. So we're going from -3 to 1. That's where my pencil is going up. Now let's keep going. Is my pen? Tell me when I'm in. Am I increasing? Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there I'm increasing.
3 to
So
4.
what x value is that? 3 to 4. So we are increasing between -4 and 1, or excuse me, -3 and 1, I'm sorry, -3 and 1, and from 3 to 4. And it said use interval notation, so that's what I did. Still no calculator, this whole page, no calculator. All right, so given this, three questions. This is how the exam is. I remember exactly. All right, so the first question says, where are the x-intercepts?
2 and 4.
The x-intercepts are at 2 and 4. My guess is they're going to be written as ordered pairs, but they could be written as just 2 and 4. But they come straight from the factors, right? Y-intercept. Come on, we talked about it. How do we find a y-intercept?
0 and right.
We let x be 0. So if you let all the x's be 0, what is 0 minus 2?
-2.
What is 0 minus 4
-4.
squared?
16.
Negative 2 times 16 is -32. If you were going to graph it, look at that equation. Does it bounce somewhere?
Yeah.
Where does it bounce?
At 4.
At 4. So the bouncing point, that it says tangent to the x-axis. Kids, what tangent to the x-axis means is it does this. And you said 4, and you are right. How do we know that's where it bounces? Because that's where it's squared. You're going to nail that question. I know you are. Actually, so those 3 questions you're going to nail. This one, oh my gosh, you better get this one too. How do we find an inverse? Switch the x and the y and solve for y. So we'll add 5 and divide by -2. Oh my gosh, if you miss that, oh! Write in exponential form. This one is harder because before you do that, you probably need to translate. What does ln mean? Log base e. So if you write it as a log base e, then it looks like this. And now we loop-de-loo it. And our answer is e to the x equals 8. Period. It says write as an exponent. That's it. That's an exponent. Right? I am feeling so confident. ln 3 plus 2 ln x minus ln y. Write as one logarithm. So in other words, like that. ln something. What's going to go in that parentheses? 3x squared over y. She's exactly right. Because this number represents an exponent A plus tells me I'm gonna multiply, and a minus tells me I'm gonna divide? Loop-de-loo it. You're solving this logarithmic equation, you're gonna loop-de-loo it.
16
So
equals
4 to the second equals 3x plus 1.
16.
16 equals 3x plus 1.
Minus 1.
15 equals
Yes,
3x.
Marilda, pass that to the front office, please.
X
And
equals
Marilda
5.
to the front office.
How easy is this? Unbelievable. This exam is so easy. All right. Number 20. Now this one you're going to sketch and then match up, because this is another multiple choice. This is still multiple choice. So you're going to figure out what it looks like and then find the right picture. So what do we need to do?
Take the X out.
Take the x out. We need to factor it. So you take the x out. So that will leave us with x squared minus 9. So we're going to factor that. That's x plus 3, x minus 3. Now it's ready to graph, right? Will this one have any bouncing points? Nope, not a single bouncing point here. So where do my dots go? Negative 3, 0, and 3. Now I need to connect those dots. Starts down, and remember it starts down, just passes through, right, all of them? And that's your picture. If it's an x cubed, it starts down and ends up. And we remember that because of our BFFs. That's x cubed, right? See how it looks? If it's an even power, like x squared, it starts up and ends up. This is how odd powers look. That's how even powers look. All right, 21 is actually on the calculator part of the test, but you don't really need a calculator, but it might help you. I don't know if the multiplication gets big or something, I don't know. But this is a free response question. 21 is a free response question. And it's 2 parts, just like it is on here. You have to list the PRRs. All right, so what are the PRRs? Plus or minus 1, 2, 3, and 6 over 1 and 3. So again, PRRs are factors of last over factors of first, right? Okay, now it says find the roots. So what do we need to do if we have to find the roots now? We start guessing and checking, right? So, I don't know, I like to start with 1 because it's just like the easiest number and it's always, always, always an option. But you don't need to start with 1, but since I'm the one up here doing it, I'm going to start with 1 and see what happens. What am I hoping happens? 0. I'm hoping I get 0. Woohoo! Looky there. We get a 0. What does that mean? It means one of my answers is 1. Right? Now where am I going to get the other answers from? I gotta put the x's back in this and look at this. So this is going to be 3x squared minus 3x minus 6. Might want to pull a 3 out of that. And then what? Factor it. Or use the quadratic formula. It doesn't matter, it's quadratic, so you can do that if you want. This one factors easily, I think. Is that right? So what are my other 2 answers? -1 and 2. free response question, partial credit. So let's say worst case scenario, you're guessing and checking and you can't find any that work, don't erase your work. Leave it there so you can get partial credit, okay?
For, like, if it's free response, are we allowed to do x equals plus or minus 1 and
Oh, yeah. Okay, number 22, definitely need a calculator for this one. So if you brought your calculator, let's get it out, make sure you can type this in.
Flash back to the front office, please. Esmeralda to the front office.
Oh, poor Esmeralda.
Mrs. Ford,
What?
do you have an,
No, I don't, but you can take a picture of his and maybe put it in a gallery or something. I'm putting all the problems up, so you can just write them down. Or copy his. All right, so here we go. Here we go. Wait, how do we go about solving this? We have to ln both sides.
You add one.
And wait, when we do that, let's not get ahead of ourselves, that cancels, right? So 3x minus 1 equals ln 5. Now I remember when we took the test over this, everybody remembered to cancel the ln, but then somehow this disappeared also. That one doesn't go away, you have to keep that one. So now we're trying to get x by itself. So should we take the ln of 5, add 1, and divide by 3? Isn't that what we want to do? Don't we want to take ln 5 plus 1 and then divide that by 3? Now when you do that, boys and girls, be careful. You know, because I keep harping at you, that you got to close your parentheses after the 5. But after you hit plus 1, you got to hit equals. Equals it out. And then divided by 3. So you need to come up with 0.8698 as your answer. And you'll round it off however the exam tells you to round it.
You can't just put 6. I would say.
No, you are lning 5 and then adding 1 to the ln value. Put parentheses around that if it's going to bother you, and so you're not tempted to combine anything with it. All right, so that's the answer you're shooting for. If you're not getting that, if we have time after this, I will help you with your calculator. Okay, number 23, another calculator problem. To the nearest dollar, how much would you have if you invested $12,000 at 3.5%, compounded weekly, 10 years? That's the information you need. Well, that and what? We need the formula. This is not PERT. No.
Boy!
Anytime we say compounded weekly, or monthly, or daily, or hourly, anytime we have a, I don't know how to describe it, a time unit here?
Weekly 7.
No.
What is it?
52. There are 52 weeks in a year.
So 52 is weekly?
Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that. What did you say?
So, never mind, it's not as goofy as what you said. Alright, here we go. There's our formula, you gotta know it. I am not giving it to you. No. What?
That was my question.
Okay, not giving it to you. No formulas on this exam. You will get formulas on the second semester exam because we're gonna have a bunch of them, but not on this one. You gotta know the 2 interest formulas. So here we go. How much will I have if I start with 12,000 at an interest rate of 0.035 divided by 52 because there are 52 weeks in a year? Kids, when it was monthly, didn't we divide by 12?
Yeah.
And why did we do that?
Because there's 12 months.
Because there's 12 months in a year. So when it's weekly, we're going to divide by 52. And then our exponent is going to be 520 because it is 52 times 10.
So is it this one where you just get straight to it?
This is the one where you get straight to it. That's right, Hugh. You get straight to it. So here we go. 12,000 parentheses, 1 plus 0.035 divided by 52, raised to the 520th. The answer you should get is $17,026. Oh wait, does it say to the nearest dollar? Yeah. So this would be the answer you get if we're going to the nearest dollar. That would be 17,027. If we round it up to the nearest whole dollar. And the only reason I'm doing that is because that's what it says.
If I go on the multiple choice, that's what it looks like. Which one is it?
No, this is free response.
Yeah.
This is a calculator question. So, once again, show your work. Okay? Show your work. If you make a mistake with the formula, but you put everything in right, I can give you partial credit. Or if you have it all right, but you get the wrong answer because you don't know how to type it in, I can give you partial credit. If you erase your work, I can't do anything but mark it off. Okay, find the growth constant for a strain of bacteria in which the population of 386 grows into 1025 in 3.8 hours. Find the growth constant. What's the formula? This one's perf. If it's not money, it's going to be perf. Every time. So we want to end up with 1025. We're starting with 386. I don't know what R is, but T is 3.8. So does that look okay? So step one. No. First you gotta divide. Don't ln this guy until you divide. So we're gonna divide by 386. Now you can ln. And the reason, kids, that you have to divide is, you know what happens when you ln, these cancel, right? But they only cancel when they're touching each other. So if you tried to do ln up here, is the ln touching the e? No, there's something in the way. You got to get rid of that something. So ln this fraction equals 3.8r. So how am I going to get my answer? No, isn't it going to be this guy right here? Divided by 3.8? Don't I need to divide both sides by 3.8? So I'm going to take ln 1025 divided by 386, close parentheses, divided by 3.8. And the answer you get is 0.2570. What did it say, round to? 1,000? We'll get rid of that 0. The answer is 0.257.
I didn't know that.
If it's a
What?
I didn't know that. I didn't know how to do that.
Do you know how to do it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
If it's a rate, would it be all right to write it as a percent?
Yes, it's fine to write it as a percent. That would be 25.7%. All right. But you don't have to write it that way. All right, number 25. Oh,
All right, James, you want me to do it for you?
Algebra 1. There might be public humiliation involved with someone who misses this. Do not miss this question. Step 1. Find the slope. Slope is 2. Right? Then you pick a way to do it, whether it's y equals mx plus b, or point slope y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. It doesn't make a single bit of difference. You do
That's
how,
so much fun.
well, okay, to each his own. Do whatever you want, but you got to come up with the same answer as I do. And the answer I'm coming up with is
Y equals 2x.
y equals 2x plus 5. That's what you gotta come up with, right there. Somehow, you gotta come up with that equation.
It's gonna be a hard number.
It's gonna be like fractions.
I know.
I think that number 26 is a multiple choice question. But I really can't remember. I think it's multiple choice.
12.
Doesn't really matter. You know what to do, right? You're going to FOIL,
12.
first, outside, inside, last. And then you're going to combine these because they're like. So we get 2i.
Minus 1 or plus 1.
What's this right here? That's positive 2.
Esmeralda, pass that to the graphic, please.
Why is
Esmeralda,
it positive 2?
Because then it 2I, then that's right.
I squared.
Whatever.
I squared is negative 1. So negative 2 times negative 1 makes positive 2. So we have 14 plus 2i.
Plus 2, right?
No, the 12 and the 2 get
Oh.
added.
Oh.
You add like terms.
So that's the answer right there?
That's the answer. Right there. 27 is a free response question because we need a calculator. Find the final cost of an item if you have a 20% discount, a 7% tax, and the original price is $32.50. So we start with $32.50, right? And then we multiply by 0.80 because we multiply by 1 minus the discount. And 1 minus 0.2 is 0.8. And then we multiply by 1 plus the tax, or the add-on, whatever we're adding on.
1.07.
And so that would be 1.07.
Punch it in.
And we punch it in the calculator.
Wait, so. Do it? That's it?
Yes, that's it. So the answer would be 2782. Nothing tricky or hard about that.
Almost done. So we have like 5 more problems left.
All right, so now we've got number 28.
Plus 7.
I don't think we've done any of these in our reviews yet, so here we go. X squared minus 6x minus 7 greater than 0. Yes, you have.
Plus 7, right?
No. Factor it, factor it. When you guys see stuff like that, you should like have an urge to factor it. Yes, it does factor, Hugh.
Yes, you can.
6.
X minus 7, x plus 1. Remember, some of us are terrible factorers. If you're gonna factor, which we need to do, FOIL it back and make sure you haven't made a mistake.
Do the magic X.
Once you get it factored, you draw a number line, and you put 2 dots on your number line.
Oh yeah, I remember
Oh
this.
yeah.
Then you do 7 and negative 1.
The dots go on at -1 and 7.
And then you have to like pick where you sketch.
We pick a number. I like to pick 0. Remember this now? I like to pick 0. You don't have to. 0 is in here, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put 0 into my problem, and I get -7 times 1.
Negative 7.
Is that bigger than 0?
No.
No. So the number 0 did not work. So I don't shade here,
Shade left.
which automatically means I
It
shade here
alternates.
and
Let's
here
go.
because they alternate. So the answer to the problem is either x is less than -1 or x is greater than 7, or -infinity to -1 union 7 to infinity. I'm not sure how the answer is going to be written. I think this is multiple choice, but if it's free response, then you can write it any way you want. But otherwise, you need to match the answer that's there. Alrighty. Alright, how much? 15% OJ needs to be mixed with 18 gallons of 20% OJ to end up with 16% OJ. So I didn't even waste any time at all. I wrote down my general formula, right? Amount times percent plus amount times percent equals amount times percent. So now I'm going to fill in, there's 6 blanks in the formula, and I'm going to fill them in now. Okay, so what do I know? How much, that's X, right? 15% should be mixed with 18 gallons of 20% to get a mixture that is 16%. There's nothing magical or mystical about that. I just wrote down all the numbers in the problem, right? Now I have a blank. I always have a blank. If the blank is here, is 18 plus X. If the blank happens to be here, which it is sometimes, it will be 18 minus X. So now I use my calculator to help me start multiplying. So this is going to be 0.15X. I'll multiply these together and get 3.6. I'll distribute there.
Let's get it.
And I get 2.88 plus 0.16x. Kids, I think you can see this exam is not very long. You're going to have plenty of time, so don't do stupid, careless arithmetic mistakes. Take your time. Now, we're going to get all the x's on one side, right? You are you paying attention? Alright, so I'm going to subtract this over to the other side. Make sure when you subtract 0.16 minus 0.15, you get 0.01. Remember, you're going to have a calculator on this problem, so feel free to put anything in your calculator that might help you. Now I'm going to subtract this.
Hurt.
Stop it.
Can you actually?
0.72. So then I'll divide, and I get 72 gallons. So the answer is 72 gallons.
I'll take this one day.
I'm glad we did this one.
Alrighty, number 30. Uh-oh. What's
That's
the
easy.
plan with number 30?
That's easy. You keep the 3 fourths. X8 to the bottom.
Okay, so we're going to start combining x's and y's and z's. So, like you said, we're going to keep the 3 and the 4. Now, what happens to this?
Flips.
It comes down. James, this comes down, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to have x to the 8th down here. Now, nothing moves here. Stop and think. I have 7 on the top. I have 2 on the bottom. Who has more? The top. How many more? 5. So I have y to the 5 on y to the 5th on top. Uh-oh, look here. They both move, don't they? So we're gonna have z to the fifth over z to the second. Who has more? Top? How many more? 3. So I have z to the third on the top. This is a free response question, so you can get partial credit if you mess it up. Now we have to square everything, right? So we're gonna have 9 and 16. All right, now tell me about the letters. Y to the 10, Z to the 6, X to the
16.
perfect. There's your answer. Beautifully, beautifully done. Three x plus 2y equals 2y plus 3x. What property?
Associative. Commutative.
That is commutative. There is one property question, not 4, just one. We're just practicing 4 of them, but there's only one on the test. It is multiple choice. This one you would pick commutative because the order changed. B, I'm not even going to write it down.
Distributive.
That's distributive. Everybody knows distributive, right?
What associated?
What's C?
Identity.
Yes.
Multiplication.
No.
No.
It's the additive
Identity though. Stop.
Yes, it's the additive identity. He's exactly right. Because the additive identity says if you add 0, you get the same thing back again, the identical thing back again.
Isn't this associated?
And I don't know, let me write it down. If I think it's associative, then 2 things have to happen. I gotta be in the same order. 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1. Same order, right? And then I gotta have different things in the parentheses. Here I got a 3 and a 1. Here I got a 4 and a 3. That is associative.
Yep. I can't do another box problem.
Yep, you can. It'll be worth your while. Hang on.
It's worth your while.
It's worth your while.
Why is it worth my while?
You're gonna find out. It's worth your while. All right, here we go. Number 32. Last problem. And I want to tell you that the last page of the test looks pretty much like this. Okay, I mean the format. The box problem is the whole last page of the test. Because there are 3 questions to ask, and then I even put like a bonus question on there too. But here are the questions. Here's the box. I drew the picture down at the bottom, but it doesn't matter because you could draw your own picture. You've got this box. How big is the paper?
15 minus 2.
Paper is 15 by 11, right? Which tells you that your equation is, that's v of x, I made it official, v of x equals what?
15 plus 2x.
No!
15 minus
15 minus 2x.
11 minus 2.
11 minus
And then an
2x
X on the
times x.
I'm tripping, dude.
Remember, we are taking the x's off. Remember doing that, Sophia, in class, making that box? We ripped those x's off. We subtracted them. We took them away. There's your equation. All right? Now, what's the domain?
0.
This is the part where you say x is between what and what?
0 and 5.5.
0 and 5.5.
That's not
How does Hugh know that?
You take the
Half the smallest dimension. Kids, it's always the same. That's a 0, and that's half the smallest dimension.
X means
Your
0.
smallest dimension is 11. Half of 11 is 5.5. Now, if you have done that correctly, then these 2 are automatic. There they are. That's your x min and x.
The Y is 0.
Y min.
Y min
Always
is
0.
always 0.
Y max is always a guess.
And Y max is a guess. So what do you want to guess?
400.
400.
Would you have to change it then?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. We're going to find out. I have no idea. We're going to find out. So now, this, kids, this tells me my window. This is your window. So you're going to go to your window. And you're going to have 0, 5.5, 0, and 400. Then you have to put in your equation. So type in y equals this equation. Some of you have an old equation in there. Don't use the old equation, you'll get the wrong answer because you got a different equation. Yeah. So now, I didn't draw a box on the test. What did I draw? Just an axis system.
Oh, you got tape?
So you got a picture, I got a picture that looked like this sort of. Okay? Listen, we are almost done. We have one more question. What is the value of x that maximizes the volume of the box? So we press second calc.
Right bound,
That's
left
the
bound.
answer.
We got to go down to maximum first, and then we do right bound or left bound. So I'm setting my cursor somewhere over here someplace. Then I do right bound. I'm setting it somewhere over here. And then I set it in the middle somewhere, just in the middle somewhere. And the calculator says 2.091 and 154.226. That's what the calculator says. Which one is the x value? Right here, right? So directions say to the nearest hundred. So the answer would be 2.
Is that when you like go to the middle and press enter? That's what it gives you.
That's what it gives you. Alright? So we have just gone through the entire exam. Now,
You want
I
me to
will
stop that?
entertain, no, we'll have that. I will entertain a few questions, but before I do, oh shoot, that is perfect. I need everybody to put your name on a piece of paper as soon as I.
For what? We get bonus? We get bonus for this?
I wonder if she's putting those there.
We get bonus for this?
Here's a piece of paper.
What is this for?
It's for me to know and you to find out. Put your name on that piece of paper. Now,
Oh yeah, James.
is there anybody that wants me to do another example of a specific problem?
Come on, James.
All right, yes, Austin.
Problem me.
One problem. Which one?
32.
32.
Box problem.
Okay, go back.
Oh, no, is it the box problem?
Yeah.
Like equations that you
Make sure your name's on that paper, please. I can't even find what I'm going. Here we go. All right, so Austin, all I'm going to do is change these two numbers. I'm going to make this a 10 and this a 23. Okay? Now, how is that going to change what I did? How is that going to change what I did? Well, I'm going to have a different equation, right, Austin?
Right.
I'm going to have a 10 and a 23. I'm going to have a different domain because now that's not going to be 5.5. What is that going to be? Helping out. How do we find this number right here?
You take the smallest of those two numbers and cut it in half.
Half the smallest dimension. So that's going to be a 5 this time, which means this is going to be a 5.
Oh.
Now, can I leave 400 here?
Yeah.
That won't matter, right? I'll try it and see what happens. And now I'm going to go type in my equation. Got to set my window. Got to change just the only thing that needs changing is that one number needs to be a 5. And then my equation is 10 minus 2x and 23 minus 2x and X. And I'm gonna hit graph. And I actually got a picture that looks like that again. So 400 worked. Sometimes it doesn't. I have to make it bigger. So then I need to find the maximum. So I second calc, go down to max, move it to the left over here and press enter, move it to the right, and press enter, and then move it to the middle, press enter, and this time it's 2.17 and 229.19. So what's the answer this time? X equals 2.17. That would be your answer. Okay, Austin, those are all done exactly the same way. Okay? Did everybody sign that paper?